Many players have crowned Bloodborne as the best From Software game to date. That simply is not true. Stick with me and let's talk about how the game holds up today. So before you run to the comments and scold me, this is not a I hate Bloodborne video. I still love Bloodborne and I still think it's a great game, but it's not the best. The game came out in 2015, 9 years ago. And in those 9 years, From Software has grown and increased the quality of the games and their development. So, right off the bat, age is against our beloved Bloodborne. But let's pause for a moment and give credit where credit is due. Bloodborne sports one of the best atmospheres in the entire Soulsborne catalogue, if not the best. I love the dark gothic London type environment that we find ourselves in. The story is intriguing, mysterious, and deep, hiding many plot twists and what the fuck moments, let's be honest. I love these bosses. The challenges that we are meant to overcome is some of the best in the entire catalogue. We have Cleric Beast that gives you a taste of the beast type monsters you'll need to face. We have Gascon to whip your ass into shape for the remainder of the game. He's basically your skill check. We have Orphan of Kos, which many believed to be one of the hardest challenges in all of the Soulsborne titles. The very nostalgic Lawrence fight, where he pulls out a big blue stick and throws you with moonlight. And let's not forget the moment Gehrman joined the hunt. And many bosses that make the experience something very, very memorable and something very special to all of us. But all these points do not make up for the fact that Bloodborne has a severe lack in quality of life aspects that later titles came with. And that is to be expected. It is a 9-year-old game. So From Software has improved with their development over the years. So we're not to expect a flat out masterpiece. But let's talk about some of the issues. First off, we have the lock-on camera. Oh my goodness, the lock-on camera is a janky work of art. I'm sure many of you can attest to the fact that there's been points where a death was caused because you tried to lock onto something and lo and behold, the camera decides to whip you into a 180 because just why not? The fast traveling is very, very tedious to say the least. You have to go to a lamp, enter the lamp, or enter the hunter's dream, go to the tombstone where you want to appear at the destination you desire. And come on, this was a downgrade compared to what we had in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 1, yes, you only got your fast travel much later, but I mean, you could fast travel direct from bonfire to bonfire, same with Dark Souls 2. I haven't completed Dark Souls 3 yet, so I don't know how to compare it to that one, but the little bit of experience that I do have in it, from the start you could travel from bonfire to bonfire, so it definitely was not as smooth as it probably could have been in Bloodborne. So the fact that it's worse than what we already had, very, very, very let down by it. The frame rate is still kept at 30, which is something I'm sure all of you wish would change, but that is not something that's necessarily wrong with the game in terms of something they did wrong when they developed the game. It's just because of Sony and what they haven't really updated it past it. But it is something that you need to mention when talking about how the game holds up to date. And then, oh my goodness, we had the shitty chalice dungeons to go through. Now, sure, you could use false depths to get your trophies and hunt for blood gems, but it's still a slog to go through, let's be honest. And if you wanted to get the best gems and get your weapons, and if you wanted your platinum, you had to go through the chalice dungeons. And I don't know anyone who enjoys going through them to this day still. The gameplay is like a 2015 game. It is still a good game to play through, don't get me wrong, but its age can definitely be felt. Later titles sport much higher quality of life changes. I mean, Sekiro has some of the most responsive controls I have ever felt in a video game. Elden Ring has true fast traveling to where you don't need to go to a grace. Just to fast travel, you can just open up your map and pop, you're there where you want to be. And unlike the previous titles from Sekiro and Elden Ring has a much more fleshed out tutorial. The older games, or Bloodborne has a few messages on the floor telling you which button is your attack button. And I mean, it's the same as the previous titles. I mean, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, 2 and Demon Souls had this, but within 2 minutes of loading in after the character creation, you are met by a werewolf that kills you. And it's a standard practice in From Software's games where you die very soon when you enter. But I mean, with Sekiro, your entire first section of the game was a tutorial to teach you the mechanics of the game. Elden Ring had the Cave of Knowledge, much more fleshed out than what we are used to. And I mean, it just equipped you better to start your journey semi-successfully. It is still much more vague than your standard AAA title, but it's a big improvement to what we had in Bloodborne and the previous titles. And again, I want to stress this, Bloodborne is not a bad game in the slightest, but games like Elden Ring and Sekiro are just better in terms of how they are developed and how much improvements they've made. Bloodborne was my favorite Souls title for the longest time. It was my very first From Software game, and it is an experience that I will never forget as a first experience. But I think that bias blinded me to its flaws. That being said, I would still recommend this game to anyone looking to get into the Soulsborne genre and experience something truly precious. This game is still a gem. Nothing inherently bad about it, but it has flaws that keep it from being the best. If those flaws were addressed back then, it would probably still contend to be the best title that From Software has released. But alas, that is not the case. Bloodborne can be your favorite by all means. Nothing wrong with having it as your favorite, but it definitely is not the best out of all of From Software titles. I'd argue the best is between Sekiro and Elden Ring, and if we're being truly honest, recency bias aside, Elden Ring might be the best in terms of its development and accessibility, and it's how it functions today, and that is to be expected. It's a much newer title, so for its time, Bloodborne is fantastic. How it holds up in 2024, not as great. So that is my take on Bloodborne after, I think, 3 or 4 years after completing it the first time, and I still enjoyed it. It's just not what I remember. I remembered it to be much more perfect, but that is what we are left with. So thank you so much for watching. If you guys want more videos like this, do let me know. I plan on doing this professionally one day. It is my dream job to cover games, bring you all the games, maybe spark an interest in a game that you might have forgotten about. This channel is directed to making a safe environment where we can talk about our favorite games, re-experience our favorite games, and see how they hold up. And also mainly playing Souls titles. I think this is a truly precious game. And again, if you guys want to see more of this, do let me know. I'd be more than happy to oblige. Just let me know which game you would want me to cover next. So, all that being said, thank you for watching, stay safe, and may God bless you all.